so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. We need to check the condition of our hearts. Hey y'all, so this video is going to be a little bit different than what you all may be accustomed to, and actually what we're accustomed to. So lately, I'm sure you've heard, there's been a lot of talk of the George Floyd debacle and controversy with that whole matter, and we basically just wanted to take an opportunity to give our thoughts and opinions on what's happening, you know, our take on what's going on.
Right. Now, this is no way saying that what we've read and what we've seen is all that there is out there. You know, there's always going to be new facts, new, I guess, presentations to the world and media outlets and things. At this time, this is all the information that we have. So, you know, just bear with us and keep that in mind as you watch this video.
So, with the George Floyd situation, what we were told, or what I've read and what we've heard, is that Mr. Floyd went into a store, a business, to make a purchase. Actually, I've heard two different versions of the story. One in which he was utilizing counterfeit money. The other, he was attempting to cash a fraudulent check of $20.
Yeah, both of them did equal $20.
Right. The police was called by the owner of the business and an employee of the business, is right. And of course, when the police came, Mr. Floyd was still present on the premises, and he was removed from his vehicle, and basically that's where this whole crazy thing started.
Right. They had body cam footage that was redacted, basically meaning that they kind of cut and put like black squares on the figures other than the police officers. In some videos they have what's the word I'm looking for? They have sound, and in other videos they don't have sound. So, but in no video it shows where he went from sitting on the concrete handcuffed to how he got to the side of his vehicle face down. They don't have that in there. They've cut that part out. So what I didn't understand for me was, one, even if it was counterfeit and he had already left the premises, why did you have to call the cops? You already confiscated the money. He didn't get any merchandise, and like he stole it. No one says that he was acting irate or anything like that. So I don't understand why the cops were called. Maybe it was protocol for the business. I have no clue.
Actually, I think the business owner said in an interview on CNN
that it was protocol for them to call the cops for fraudulent money or checks, even if the person didn't get any merchandise. Two, what I didn't understand was, in the video, it shows that the police officer came up and opened the door and was trying to get him out of the car. Even then, I don't know if they were really struggling to get him out. I don't know if he couldn't get his arm around, because it was already two cops on him. I don't know if he couldn't struggle to get his arm around or what. So it kind of looked like he was resisting, if you would even say that, but still they walked him easily to the sidewalk and sat him down on the sidewalk until other cops came. So again, I'm still not understanding how he's not cooperating, how he's resisting arrest. And the police chief initially came out and said that he was resisting arrest, and then he had to come back and retract his statement and said if under further review or newer evidence came out that showed he wasn't resisting arrest. So I just need them to make it make sense to me. I don't understand.
Well, here's the problem. It's difficult to make anything make sense when you have so many versions of the story that aren't factual.
Yeah, that's true.
it's not okay to commit a crime. I don't think either one of us would agree or condone a poor decision, a law being broken.
Right.
I think the problem is, matter of fact, I know the problem is should someone lose their life over a crime in which no one is hurt, there isn't any injury of any sort? How do we go from this man walking into a store, whether he was right or wrong in his actions, how do we go from him walking into a store to within 10, 15 minutes of him being there, being deceased?
Yeah.
How do we get here?
That's what I don't understand.
And the sad thing about it is, it's happening. This isn't new information. This isn't a new. It's not a new story.
No.
I don't even think anyone is shocked by what we've seen on the news and what we've read in the blogs. Right. It's not new. The problem is that there's nothing being done about it.
So it keeps happening.
It's very disheartening, and it's just sad. It's pitiful. It's a pitiful situation that this man's family has to bury their loved one.
Over $20.
Over $20.
And then that's what I don't understand. Did he even, like, we will never get to the full story. Like, did he know that it was fake money? Maybe somebody gave it to him. Maybe somebody loaned it to him. He didn't know that was, maybe he didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for the cops to just roll up and just be like, you were trying to, fraudulent activity or forgery activity was happening.
Right.
And you killed this man over $20.
And you have people I've read I've seen on social media, I've read it, where people are saying, like, you have people who say things like, well, let's just wait till all the facts are out before we make a decision and determine. Here's what bothers me with that. If it was your brother, your uncle, your father, your son, your loved one, even your neighbor that you're fond of, would you want to wait until all the facts were out? Under no circumstance should anyone's life have ended over something as trivial as counterfeit money. And I know it seems like we make excuses for people because he's black, I'm black. I'm not making excuses. When you break the law, you should be chastised, reprimanded for your wrongdoing. But you should not leave the scene in a body bag.
Nope.
That is insane.
I agree. I also, someone told me also that they believe that it's people are overreacting to the case basically in Minneapolis with all the rioting and loitering and stuff. Now I do agree that there shouldn't be any like backlash to the city per se, because that's just coming. You're gonna have to pay for that anyways in your tax dollars, regardless of whether you believe it or not. Now, should we march? Yes. Should we speak out? Should we be outraged? Absolutely. But I don't believe that we need to tear the city down for people to understand. And then some people may believe like that's the only way to get somebody's attention.
It's not. Because to me, that's just selfishness.
No, I agree.
You just have a bunch of... How is you busting up this store, taking TVs for your home, your way of standing up for something that was done incorrectly or done wrong? Two wrongs don't make a right. And that has nothing to do with nothing. What we need are those individuals who have a voice, and who have clout to step up and say something and do something about it. You have celebrity attorneys. You have different people in politics that have a voice
and a following.
Absolutely. And they're quiet. Why is that? So definitely rioting is not.
I don't think people should be going out there and further ring the situation. I believe that we all together collectively should come together as a whole. And I don't like when people say, all cops are bad, all black people are crazy, because that's not true. All white people are racist. I really don't believe that, because there's some from every genre who are standing behind us and basically also speaking out for us, like, this is not right, their lives matter as well. You know what I'm saying? So you can't put everybody in one category and saying all cops are bad, all cops are this and that. No, I know someone whose family member who is a police officer, and he doesn't agree with how the police officers were handling the situation at all. He was like, that's not a protocol that we would follow if somebody was not resisting arrest, to have your knee on somebody's neck, especially if it's 4 police officers on the scene.
Absolutely.
For one man.
Absolutely. So the question is, why did that even happen? Why did 4 men feel the need to have to restrain one man? I think it stems from the fact that look, let me just preface this by saying I love everybody. I don't have a problem with anybody. I work with all shades of people, and I respect everyone equally, and I expect the same respect in return. So nothing I'm going to say is out of anger or dislike for anyone.
Right.
But the problem is, why? What should I say? The question is, why are we so feared? Why are black men such a threat to why is that? It upsets me, and I may go off on a tangent because I have to just be honest. My heart is broken. I'm very upset by this, not just this situation, but the one that we're still dealing with from what's the young man say? So the whole slavery thing, I feel, comes into play. We are pulled from our culture, our home, what we're accustomed to, and we're breeded like savages. We're beat into submission. We're treated like animals. We're worked like machines. And then all these years go by, all this time goes by, you've breeded a human into an animal, and now you're shocked and appalled of how we respond in certain matters.
That's true.
You're afraid of us because of how we've been treated.
Yeah, that's true. I don't get it. And now, someone told me that people fear what they don't understand and don't know, right? You can't get to know something or someone if you don't spend time with them, correct? You can't get to really walk a mile in my shoes unless you're walking with me. So for you to go out and, I guess, have a bone to pick with a certain race of people, again, you're categorizing an entire body of people, saying all of these people act exactly the same. I believe that people fear black men in general because they're strong. Most of them are super intelligent. They could really take this world by storm if we all collectively work together as a whole. If they would come together as a whole and not kill each other, have a crab mentality to pull the next person down that's making it, this nation would be set upside down by the black men themselves. And then especially if the black women would come and support them as we should.
And as we do.
I'm not saying we do. Now, if that was to happen, there was nothing that we couldn't do. We couldn't take over. Like, we would be the majority, I guess you should say, if that makes sense. So I believe that people fear it because they know what's in us, man. We just don't know. A lot of people don't know what's in them. As a black person, we're dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, they already steal our culture. Everything that we do becomes a trend. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they fear us because they know, man, if we really for real work together, man, we could really take over this world, man. Not just America, but literally this world, if we really work together. So I believe that's one of the reasons why they fear us.
And that's the problem. Yeah. We don't tend to stick together and work together. I remember I made a comment a few years ago to a black man, and my comment was basically, I kind of referred to how I made a comment. Look, I'm sorry, 'cause I made a comment to say how black people are always killing black people. And he was completely offended by that. He said, people kill people. He's like, it's not just black people killing black people, white people kill white people, Asian kills Asian. You know, it just depends on who you're around and, you know, what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
I also made a comment to say we were discussing some other situation very similar to this one, and my comment to him was, well, if that person wasn't committing a crime, then they wouldn't be guilty and they wouldn't have been in that situation. And he literally hung up the phone in my face after he gave me the business. And once I played all that back, and I'm like, well, what did I say wrong? I mean, it is true. I mean, if you're not in a bad situation, then if you don't put yourself, you're not committing a crime, you don't put yourself in a bad, at the wrong place, you know, at the wrong time. The way the world is set up right now, everywhere is a bad place.
Everywhere.
At a bad time.
Sure can.
I should have the same rights to move and shake through the streets just like everyone else. And that is not the case. I remember telling my nephew, you need to dress a certain way, you need to look a certain way, just so that you can be received better than you potentially will be.
Yeah, that's true.
So basically, I'm trying to tell him, so don't wear your hair the way you want to wear your hair, don't wear your clothes the way you want to wear your clothes, don't talk the way you want to talk, just so that you can be accepted by people who don't like you or care about you anyway.
Just to appease them.
Absolutely.
Make them feel comfortable.
But why should we have to do any of those things? Why is it that when we have a situation and something happens, you literally have to contemplate, do I want to call the police?
No, for real.
Because the police is supposed to be there to protect and serve. They're supposed to be the mediator. But you literally have to contemplate, do I even want to get the police involved? Because you don't know how it's going to end. Because I may call them to help and save my situation, and they come in and turn it completely upside down. And you were absolutely right. All police officers are not bad. Just like all black people aren't bad. Just like all white people aren't racist.
Right.
It comes down to a mentality that is just completely ignorant, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you have people who clutch their purses because of a certain person who's walking by, granted, they might snatch it. I mean, it's just facts. Like it could be anybody
be clutching that purse
for
the whole
anybody.
time.
Anybody could do that. Anybody could be at fault for breaking the law or committing a crime.
That's true.
I've been watched in stores, followed in stores for absolutely no reason when I had a pocket full of money, and if I didn't have cash to pay for it, I had plenty of credit cards that would.
That's true, man.
But the person walking beside me or next to me
probably ain't got nothing.
I have been in a situation where this woman, this is no lie, an older woman who was not African American was literally stuffing her bag with items in the store.
And they watching you.
They were watching me. I'm looking at her stuff in her purse. I didn't say a word. Now had I lost my mind, become belligerent, acted a fool in that store, all of a sudden now I lose credibility. Yeah. Now you're an angry black woman.
That's exactly what it is.
So you put me in a situation where I have no other choice but to respond out of emotions of anger or frustration or hurt or whatever the case may be. Yes. But if I respond that way, I'm treated a certain way.
Stereotype.
It's insane. And it's the mindset of the people
that are around. It is. It is the mindset. It also goes back to how they were raised and what's been put in them and stuff. And I mean, to a certain extent, the way you were raised, you can come out of that.
Absolutely.
I don't believe now. You could be raised to hate this person, fear this person, but then you room with them at college and you see like, oh wow,
absolutely,
they ain't bad.
I was raised that pork was delicious. But as I got older, I realized you get high blood pressure if you eat too much of it. So I choose not to partake. It's all a decision. So we're not giving out passes for people because of how you were raised.
That's true, man. It just breaks my heart because I have brothers who are black, I have friends that are black. I'm raising a young black man, and my husband is black. So it just hurts me and makes me fearful for what type of world am I bringing him up in? You know what I'm saying? What type of world are we trying to cultivate him to be a well-rounded black man? But you don't want him, again, like you said, you don't want him to be treated a certain way just based on the color of his skin. Like, why is it that I have to have talks with my son like, okay, now if a cop stop you, you keep your hands up on the dash because you don't know what they're gonna do. Ain't no little other people having no conversations with their kids about that.
Not.
Why do I have to say, okay, now if little Jimmy says X, Y, Z, don't act too crazy because now you can get in trouble. And now why do I have to have those conversations with my son at 10 and 11 years old? He should be able to just grow freely up in this world and not have to worry about that.
Just like everybody else.
Just like every other little kid. But we don't have that luxury at all. We don't have that luxury.
And then we're not treated the same. Mm-hmm. Clearly, we're not treated the same. No. Just like the situation with back in 1940s, you had the baby, a 14-year-old child, George Steeney.
Yeah.
14 years old. This baby was executed. Is it executed?
Uh-huh.
Executed. The youngest child to be executed because he was charged with killing two Caucasian babies, an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old. Now, mind you, I wasn't there. I don't know if that man did it or not. But the facts surrounding that situation proved that he was not involved.
Right.
He was 5'1", so clearly he was small for his age. Because I want to say most 14-year-olds are pretty.
14-year-old boys, yeah.
They're hitting puberty. They're
probably sprouting.
5'1", 95 pounds. How did he manage to kill two children, an 8 and 11-year-old, bash one of their heads in, and then drag them both and leave them in a pool of water or a lake or a pond or something, and nobody see him? And then
he's black. Nobody was watching him?
So the police came looking for the two children, and basically what it was, they lived like there was a railroad track that separated, the white side from the black side. These babies came looking for some sort of flowers, if I understand the story correctly. They came looking for a particular type of flower. I guess it was found closer to the black side. So then, of course, they came up missing. When the police came to look for him, this baby, George, was one of the individuals who said, "Oh yeah, I saw them." How did he become a suspect? And on top of that, how did he end up? I mean, not to say that. Because again, I don't know if he was guilty.
Right.
But even if he was, should he have been?
Executed at 14?
14 years old, executed. When you have, I don't know the man's name. You have there was this Caucasian guy who raped a girl, and he was he was affiliated with some prestigious college, I believe. He raped a girl. She reported it. This man walked away with probation. You're a pedophile. You're a menace to society. If you are taking stuff that don't belong to you.
Yeah.
But he walked away with probation. You have women who molest children in schools, and they don't go to jail because the jury finds them to be too attractive. Because she's blonde and has blue eyes. I don't hate nobody. I hope it doesn't come off as if I am. I'm just stating the facts. So you mean to tell me, so it's just all of this I'm telling you, nothing is new. We're not hearing any new information. It just blows my mind how different things are. You have an individual to go to prison. You have a black man go to prison, a black woman go to prison.
First offense for selling weed.
First offense, they do years. So now you're a felon, so you can't vote. You can't live in you can't move to certain homes. You can't get a job certain places. All these things happen where your rights are completely stripped from you. And one may say, well, that's what you deserve. You committed a crime. You got to do the time.
Okay. But make it make sense. Make it
make sense.
Make it even across the board.
Because I don't have no other options. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
If I don't have any other options, what am I going to do? I'm going to go right back into that crime because I can't feed myself. I can't take care of myself because I can't get a job. I can't lie and say that I didn't have a crime because when they do the background check, it's going to show that I did. So even if I went to jail for having a $20
bag of weed
or a $20 fake $20 bill, now I still run the risk of not being able to move into you can't go to certain colleges you can't go to. So we find that they constantly throw the book at black people.
Hard.
Throw the book at us. And then you have our counterparts who break the same law, and that same law is flexible and is bent for them. What in the world is going on?
That's all we want to know.
What is going on?
Why is it not even? Why can't all of us get treated the same? If we're all American, we're all citizens, we do the exact same crime, and some of us don't even do crimes, you know what I'm saying? We're just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Guilty.
Exactly like
Guilty.
you said. We're guilty before anything even pops off.
Guilty until proven innocent.
That's 100%
in
true.
most cases, and it doesn't have to be in the judicial aspect. It could be on your job.
Yeah.
It could be at your school. It could be in your neighborhood. It makes no sense. I have literally been in situations where when the police came, there was a situation with a Caucasian woman and a black woman. The police was called. When the police, now mind you, the Caucasian woman was the culprit. She was the instigator. She was the one who started the whole situation. Oh, Karen started the whole situation. Was the most irate. Was the most belligerent. She was a butthole. A complete butthole. Now, granted, the black lady, she was,
she was getting with it too.
We ain't gonna give her a pass. It is what it is. But when the police showed up, who do you think they wanted to talk to first?
They always go.
Who did they talk to first? And she was the guilty party.
It doesn't matter.
Man, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. We need to check the condition of our hearts.
That's true.
This makes no sense. People are burying their loved ones. That lady, Sandra, I don't know her last name. Sandra Bland. Now, I don't want to make this a black-white thing. That's a black-white thing, so I guess you got to call it what it is.
It is what it is.
Sandra Bland, Lord rest her soul, this woman went to jail, ended up dead in jail.
In jail.
Right?
For a traffic stop, right?
For a traffic stop. The police said they smell marijuana. Okay. So, I think she had called her family, and long story short, they basically said that she committed suicide.
In jail. Under surveillance.
Have you heard anything else about Ms. Bland?
That's it.
But let me ask you this question right here. Natalie Holloway from back in the 90s, who came up missing on an island when she ran off, because she was hiding a tail. No disrespect to anybody. But she ran off with some guy, and she was killed. I think later on they found out that a guy really had murdered her. We still hear her name in the news. She's still being talked about. That case did not close until they figured out what happened.
That's true. And see, that's what I don't understand. Like, sometimes I feel like they make it harder for black people to get justice because they'll draw the case out so much, or you have to go through hoops and you have to travel across the world to get any type of information or anybody to sit down and help you figure out what's right, what's wrong. So most of the time, it's just chunked up as, this is it. That's what we got, ma'am. That's all we got. Sorry. We're going to move on to the next case now. Do you not see my desk? Slam packed with cases.
What makes me so upset is how black people are treated like animals. Yeah. We are treated like straight animals. You will see a black man sitting on the street with a knee in his neck, screaming for breath, asking you to please get off of him. So you have people surrounding him asking, can you please take your knee off this man's neck?
How many people?
And you have the law-abiding, not a law-abiding, but you have the police standing there watching like it's nothing to it.
Stand back, sir.
Like it's nothing to it.
I just don't understand. When I saw, at first I thought it was only 2 officers at first, but then when I saw the back image shot from across the street, there was an officer that was holding his legs, there was an officer holding his arms, and then the other officer had his knee on his neck, like, and then the other officer was talking about stand back, move, don't, what you doing? Like, what I'm doing is trying to get my brother up off the street, off you on his neck. That's what we doing.
How do you resist arrest when you already have on handcuffs?
You already handcuffed, bro. What are you gonna do? Take off running? Ain't nobody was trying to get him out of there. There was no rioting. There was nobody trying to obstruct justice. The man was already subdued. All you had to do was put him in the car. What happened? I just really want to see the footage from when he was helped up off the street because he was already handcuffed, sitting on his hands. They helped him up off the street, and then he was walking around the car. What happened right there? That's the footage that we need to see. But apparently, it's something good because the police chief, exactly, and the police chief called the FBI in to do further investigation, and all 4 cops were fired because the man wasn't resisting arrest. It was all a lie.
They should not have been fired. They should have been arrested.
They should have.
That was murder. And the other 3 men who were sitting around were accessory to murder.
Yes.
They killed somebody senseless. So
in broad daylight.
In broad daylight. So if I walk up to somebody and shoot them in the chest, I'm just as guilty as what happened on the other day with this man.
Absolutely.
And what about all the situations, all the crimes that are committed that we don't see, that there's no camera there, there's no phone there to record it. You got people who are spending their life in prison, people who have been executed, killed, taken completely off the planet Earth, off of a lie that has been told
by the cops. And you know what, going to Ahmaud, I'm still kind of confused as to how these men were able to sit at home for months, released into the public, when they shot and killed a man. 4 months.
How can you even say it was self-defense? It wasn't
self-defense because he ain't had no weapon, bruh.
Just like the man who was shot a few years ago in the back. In the back? You mean to tell me you don't have a taser? Yeah, you don't have a rock? You can throw a shoe and knock somebody out.
You could have shot him in the foot, bro. You
didn't have to shoot him at all. Because there's some real crimes being committed. Because he hadn't even... If I'm not mistaken, the man just took off running because he had warrants. I could be wrong. I could be misspeaking. I mean, that could not be true.
Right.
But either way, he hadn't killed anybody. He hadn't... What makes me upset is, why don't we act a fool like this about people who touch children? These little nasty bastards and crazy people who put their hand on children, who abuse children physically and who abuse children sexually.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they be dragged? Shouldn't they have knees on their necks?
Yeah.
Not a man who had a counterfeit $20 bill. And again, not trying to make his wrong right, just saying that the crime doesn't fit the punishment. He should not be dead. And just like all these other people who should not be deceased, or even in prison. Like, another thing, just to get it all off my chest, honey.
Get it out.
You got people who are doing years for selling marijuana. But now in Denver, Colorado, you have people who are millionaires because they sell marijuana. Come on, man.
But they were grandfathered in. Yeah.
Man, get off my phone. Hang up. Slam the phone down.
I don't understand.
It's only right when, depending on whose shoes, who's
profiting.
feet,
who's profiting? That's when it's right. Who's getting all the gain?
When do we say? And I love my people. I love my people. I love us. I love us. I love everybody, but I love my people. I just got to keep it real. You know, if it's not PC to say it out loud, I love my people. We got to work together.
We do.
We have to work together. We got to stop, like you said, what'd you call it, a crab mentality?
Yeah, the crab. Look at how the crabs are.
Come on,
that crab right there at the top. Look at the crabs like, oh, no, you don't. You're going to stay down here with me.
No. Man, we got to do better.
We
got to do better. What I don't understand is really bad, and nothing has been done about it. Nothing is done about it until there's an outcry, like
until there's video footage that comes out.
But even then, Toya.
But I'm
like
saying
all these people who have been acquitted. Think about all these people who've been, like the man who shot Philando Castile. That's like acquitted. This man was in his car with his family, unarmed, hand on his lap,
shot,
dead. And the cop who shot him acquitted. How?
I don't understand.
Y'all, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. We gotta do better. We could talk about this all day. We can go on and on and on, but the fact remains the same that this man lost his life. It was senseless. He, along with so many others, have. So many of us want to, we get it behind our cameras and we say how bad it is, how wrong it is. But until we actually start doing something about it, other than just talking about it and running in stores and snatching up TVs to prove something that isn't proving anything at all, it's going to continue to happen.
And how do you do something about it? Get on those same political, I guess, avenues. You know, we have to take over the judicial system as a whole to be able to right it and make it right for us. Like, until we do that, until we get people of our own stature, our own flesh and blood that really will stand up for us, it's never going to change.
Or until we're in those positions. Like, we fight to have the latest fashion. We fight to have the best looking shoes, the best looking hair. We'll drag somebody if she got on the wrong outfit. We'll drag somebody if they don't look the way we think they should look.
Absolutely.
Let's fight to get in positions where it actually matters. We fight to have the most views. We fight to have the most followers. We fight to have the most likes on our pictures. When we showing our latest makeup look. Let's fight for something that actually makes sense.
I agree.
Like people losing their lives over things that's completely senseless.
I agree.
So, heartfelt condolences to the Floyd family and all of the other people who have lost loved ones in situations like this. Mad respect for the police officers who are doing the right thing. And anyone else who's doing what is right for the people that they are serving.
Right.
Big ups to them.
I agree, man.
This was our little public service announcement. Our 2 cents.
So,
you all take care.
Bye.